All right, so TikTok, huh? This is getting kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a mess, really. National security, free speech, billions of dollars.
We've got a federal court ruling that could, like, change everything for social media.
And even a former president who's trying to save the app that he once tried to ban. It's wild.
So we've been digging into a bunch of sources, court documents, news
Oh,
articles.
and let's not forget those investors always sniffing around for an opportunity.
Right. By the end of this, y'all will be experts on the legal fights, the security
Then
arguments.
you'll know exactly who's trying to buy TikTok because there's a whole line of them.
But the big question is what happens to TikTok, and its 170 million US users.
Yeah, it's the $170 million question.
Okay, so first things first, this court ruling. A federal appeals court just said, nope, ByteDance, you gotta sell TikTok or it's banned.
And they mean it. Deadlines mid-January 2025.
US government's all like, national security, we can't have China snooping on our TikTokers.
I mean, their argument is that ByteDance could be forced to hand over all that juicy user data.
Or even worse, they could mess with what Americans see on their feeds.
Totally. And TikTok's fighting back, saying, hey, this violates our First Amendment rights.
You can't just ban us because we're Chinese. But the court wasn't convinced.
They basically said national security trumps free speech in this case.
Yeah, one of the judges, Judge Douglas Ginsburg, he even wrote, the First Amendment's here to protect free speech in the U.S., but the government's just trying to protect that freedom from a foreign country that wants to spy on us.
It's pretty intense. They're basically saying TikTok's a potential weapon.
That's heavy stuff.
Mm.
They're saying keeping Americans safe from China is more important than TikTok's right to, do its thing here.
And TikTok's not giving up. They're taking this all the way to the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, wow. This is getting serious.
This raises some big questions, like, can the U.S. government just ban any platform they don't like because of where it's from?
And what does that mean for, talking to people online across borders?
That's a slippery slope.
And it's not just TikTok that's freaking out. Legal experts are worried, too.
Yeah, they're saying this ruling is dangerous. It could, shut down free speech and keep us from seeing stuff from other countries.
Two experts, Jamil Jaffer and Genevieve Lakir, they said something interesting. They said, when a law targets just one company, there's a big chance it's because someone doesn't like what they're saying, not because they're actually worried about the public good.
They think this could be a way for governments to, censor anyone they disagree with.
So this isn't about whether you like TikTok or not. It's about, a basic right, being able to see and share information no matter where it comes from.
This is a really important point.
How comfortable are you with the government deciding which apps you can and can't use based on where the company's located?
That's a good question to think about.
Yeah, it affects all of us. But while this First Amendment stuff is happening in court, ByteDance, they've got a problem.
Oh, yeah, big time. That January 2025 deadline is coming up fast.
They got to make a move.
So what can they do? Sell TikTok to a U.S. company or get banned? Those are the options.
So just sell it, right? What's the big deal?
Well, it's not that simple. TikTok says it's, impossible to separate the app from its algorithm.
The algorithm, that's what makes TikTok, TikTok, right?
Exactly. It's like their secret sauce. And guess what? The Chinese government probably won't let them include it in the sale.
So they're stuck. Sell a useless app without the algorithm or get banned anyway.
It's a tough spot. Like selling a car without the engine.
Hold on, what makes this algorithm so special? Can't they just, make a new one?
It's not that easy. This algorithm's super smart. It took years to build, tons of data, machine learning, the whole 9 yards. It's the reason TikTok's so addictive.
So even with a buyer, TikTok might become, a zombie app.
Exactly. It's not a guaranteed fix.
And speaking of buyers, there are actually some people who want to buy TikTok, even with all this drama.
Yeah, some big names too. Steven Mnuchin, Trump's Treasury Secretary.
Wait, really? The guy who tried to ban it?
Yep, and billionaire Frank McCourt. They've got a group that says they'll pay over $20 billion for TikTok.
Mnuchin buying TikTok, that's something.
That's pretty ironic, right? But it shows how much money and power are involved.
Oh, and we can't forget about Trump. He wanted to ban TikTok in 2020, but now he wants to save it.
It's confusing, I know. The court ruling happened under Biden, but Trump's still talking about TikTok?
Yeah, remember that Meet the Press interview where he went on about TikTok, Jack?
Oh yeah, that was strange. He claimed this guy helped him win young voters by using TikTok.
It was like a random side story. It had nothing to do with the real issues.
It just shows you how unpredictable this whole thing is.
Yeah.
Even with all the legal stuff, personal feelings and politics still matter.
It's like a reality show, But the real question is, what happens to the 170 million people using TikTok in the US?
A ban wouldn't just, like, annoy people. It'd really mess up their lives.
Yeah, totally. It's not just about, missing out on funny videos. This is people's jobs.
Exactly. A lot of creators, this is how they make a living. Sponsorships, brand deals.
A ban would hit them hard
Yeah.
financially.
And the whole cultural impact. TikTok started so many trends, music, everything.
True. It's huge, especially for young people.
Some creators are already, like, promoting their YouTube and Instagram, just in case.
Smart move. Got to be prepared, right?
Yeah, it makes sense. But the big question is, what if TikTok actually gets banned? What then?
It'd be a huge hole in the whole social media world,
Oh, for sure. It'd be crazy. The other platforms would be like, quick, got to fill that gap.
It wouldn't just be creators and users, right?
Yeah.
Businesses use TikTok to advertise and reach new customers.
Yeah, they'd take a hit too.
So this whole thing is a really big deal. It's not just one app. It's a whole cultural thing.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of this, like, rivalry between the U.S. and China.
All right, so let's play it out. What are the different ways this could end?
Okay, let's see. First, maybe the Supreme Court says, nah, the lower court was wrong.
That would be a win for TikTok.
Yeah, a big one. And it would mean the government can't just, like, shut them down.
It would change things for other foreign tech companies, too.
Totally. It'd be a big precedent.
Okay, scenario 2. Maybe ByteDance finds a way to sell TikTok that makes everyone happy.
It's going to be tough. The U.S. and China both got to agree.
But people want to buy it, right? Mnuchin, McCourt, they've got money.
Yeah, but remember, selling TikTok without the algorithm is pointless.
And China doesn't want to give that up.
Exactly.
Well,
It's a tricky situation.
Even with all that cash, it might not happen.
Yeah, it'd take a lot of compromise.
So what's the worst case scenario?
The ban. The U.S. just shuts TikTok down completely.
Wow, that's like the nuclear option.
It's drastic, but it's happened before. Countries have banned platforms, for security reasons, content issues.
A TikTok ban would be huge news.
It would be like a declaration of war in the tech world between the U.S. and China.
To retaliate, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it could lead to, like, a fragmented internet, different countries blocking stuff.
So it's either the Supreme Court, a sale, or a ban. Those are the options.
It's intense. No one knows what will happen.
It's unpredictable, but whatever happens, it'll change the internet for sure.
Yeah, and it'll affect how governments deal with these big tech companies.
This whole TikTok thing is a big deal, even if you don't use the app.
It's a sign of the times. We're in uncharted territory.
Governments everywhere are trying to figure out how to control these powerful companies, especially the ones operating globally.
And it's hard, There's
Yeah.
no easy solution.
Governments want to protect their people, and they want to make sure data is handled properly.
But they can't go too far. Censorship is a slippery slope.
Finding the right balance is super important.
It's like walking a tightrope.
This whole situation shows how hard it is to balance those things, security versus freedom.
It makes you think about how technology affects our lives and who gets to control it.
It's complicated, and it's always changing. It's a crazy time for the internet, for sure.
It really feels like things are changing.
All these decisions about TikTok, they'll have consequences for years.
This whole thing's a wake-up call. It shows us the truth about the internet, about how powerful tech is.
And about how much control governments want.
It's bigger than just TikTok. It affects everyone, even if you don't use the app.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about freedom of speech, data privacy, the whole future of the internet, really.
It's global.
So what do you think about all this? What stands out to you?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this whole national security thing? Or the free speech arguments?
It's a lot to take in. And what about the creators? The ones who could lose their income, their platform.
170 million users. That's a lot of people.
It's not an easy situation. There's no easy answers.
But hopefully this deep dive helped you understand it all a little better.
And made you think about how tech affects us and who's calling the shots.
We've talked about the legal stuff, the potential buyers, the politics, everything.
But before we go, we want to leave you with one last question.
Something to think about.
Can TikTok survive in the U.S., even with all these concerns about security and free speech?
Is there a way to make it work?
Could they, let someone check their data practices, a third party?
Or maybe partner with a U.S. company to handle the sensitive stuff.
Is there a compromise that keeps everyone happy?
It's a tough one.
No easy answers. But it's something we all got to figure out, as a society.
How do we balance tech, freedom, and security? It's the big question.
Keep thinking about these things. Keep talking about them. The future of the internet depends on it.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
And stay curious out there.